Hi, welcome. I'm Joe Silva, and this is part of the Ideal Startup series where we talk all things about starting your small business. There's a lot of moving parts. We know this. You've got sales, you've got operations, you've got accounting, you've got all kinds of things in your business. And so the Ideal Startup series is here to help you sort through it all. So today we have Brad and Jill from the Exit Playbook. They started a business right before COVID or right during COVID. And so they've got a fun story to tell. And their business is actually the opposite of starting a business. It's all about exiting your business. And you might be thinking, why would you talk about exiting a business in a series about starting a business, right? So it's kind of an interesting topic, but the reality is we're all going to exit our business, whether it's today, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's 10 years from now, whatever it is. We've got to exit our business. And Jill and Brad have created a business that does just that. It helps you get prepared for that. So we talk all about the details of that and why it's important to you, even at a startup level. So even if you haven't started your business, believe it or not, you want to plan for the exit of your business even later on. And that might sound crazy to you, but just listen to the interview, listen to what they have to say, and it will make a lot of sense. And actually, it'll benefit you long-term significantly. Listen, you don't start planning for retirement when you're 72 years old, right? You start planning for retirement when you first get your job, and then you start plugging away at a 401k. Or if in the case of a business, you start planning for that exit right when you start. So they started a fun business here during COVID. We're going to hear their story and then hear how they help businesses along the way as well. So stay tuned for that right now. Hi there, I'm Joe Silva. I own Ideal Payroll Service. I also host the Ideal Small Biz podcast, and we are focused on startup businesses right now. So we're into supporting the startup world and really small business in general, because it's so important that small business drives our economy, provides jobs. And so the more successful businesses are, the more successful a community is. And then, of course, those like us that live in that community. So small business is a foundation. So the more we can start those, the more we can keep them growing and successful, the better for everybody involved. And so that's part of our Ideal Startup series that we're talking today. And today we are fortunate enough to have Jill and Brad from the Exit Playbook on with us. So Jill, Brad, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you very much, Joe. It's great to be here.
Yeah, pleasure.
Great. Why don't you, maybe we'll start with you, Jill. Give us a little bit of your background and, a brief, we'll get into some of the details of your company, but maybe a brief synopsis of what you guys do.
Sure. So Exit Playbook was started, we're kind of a byproduct of COVID-19. And so I own Verity Martin, which is a sales agency. And about 5 years ago, recognized that more than half of our clients were all growing their business to exit. And kind of exciting, and just started listening and partnered with a lawyer and an accountant and started doing some seminars at some banks, and recognized pretty quickly that business owners would sign up but then not show up to the trainings. And went back and did some interviews of those leaders and learned that they just didn't want anyone to know that they were exiting their business. And did a few more interviews with some leaders such as other lawyers, other accountants, and then exit planners, kind of like Brad. And then about a year ago, Brad and I started talking about taking this platform and making it completely online, so there was confidentiality for the business owner. And then integrating, when we did the interviews, I learned that not every business owner knew who to turn to for that exit planning or that exit advice. So Brad and I got to talking, and we outlined what the platform should look like. And then, so we've been working on it for a little while, but we launched in August.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on the launch. Brad, maybe fill in your background, and I know you've got some extensive small business experience in your world as well. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so I am from a small business. I owned the Walker Tire stores here in town for almost little over 31 years. So a long time, family business. My father had started the business up here in Omaha, and then my brother and I had purchased the business from him, and then I sold out my portion of it to my brother. And so we had, siblings that were in the business, out of the business. And when I went through the whole process, I felt like there was some pieces missing. As most business owners, they start with their CPA when they're trying to figure out how to get out. but nobody's really dealing with the family issues, and it's a very complex process and takes a lot longer than I think most business owners realize. And I thought when I went through the process that, gosh, I really could help some business owners, especially in the family business arena, in being able to identify where the pitfalls are, in being able to keep some family harmony together. So after I had sold my business, I started a consulting company called Strategic Solutions. And that's mostly what I do. It's business coaching, but a lot of it is around business exiting as business owners are getting ready, and hopefully helping them to identify early enough that there's some planning time. Because a lot of times it tends to be the straw that broke the camel's back when the owner says, gosh, I want out, and I want out within 3 months. And unfortunately, there's a lot of great planning things that you can do in a business to maximize your return from it, and then also maximize, what happens to the company and all the different issues that come up. So that's kind of where we help. And so, when Jill had reached out to me, it was kind of a natural fit, and we really, I guess, work well together in trying to figure out how that whole scenario should look, and being able to do it in a way that the business owners want, and to maintain that confidentiality, which is critical.
Nice. So this is kind of a unique episode, because we're talking about you starting a new business, about people exiting their business. So we're kind of getting both ends, which is fun. That's the exciting thing. Small business can go any direction you want. But I think it's critical. We talk a lot on the show about setting that foundation up. You've got to have the systems and the structures in place. And most business owners, especially on a startup, have no idea. They're just kind of getting by day by day, right? They're just trying to get to the next day, the next hour sometimes, putting out fires. But from what you guys are seeing and what you help with, it sounds like, is you've got to put things in place to maximize the long-term value of what you're doing. So maybe take us, Jill, you mentioned starting during COVID, right? So that's always fun. But take us back there. Tell us your story of, what drew this up, what made this come up in your mind. You both have been successful. You both have other businesses. So what brought you two together to create this Exit Playbook business during a global pandemic?
Well, I think just the commonality of the client that Brad and I both share, all business owners, right, looking to exit. And, that whole piece of they just weren't sure where to turn. And then we did some demographic information as to, what's that customer look like. Typically they're male, they're over 60, their retirement is tied to the investment or the company value. And they really have to develop that strategy, for moving out. And then when we looked at what that profile was, in Nebraska and Iowa, there's a little over 30,000 businesses of business owners over 60, over $1 million, 4 employees more. So we saw that there was a viable market there. So that's when we decided to develop the platform, invite experts to be on. We have a little over 20 experts now. And then start marketing that to the business owners. Nice.
Brad, anything to add to that?
I want to turn back to your initial comment. You talk about starting up a business, and one of the things that I always talk about is start with the end in mind. I mean, when you start that business, figure out how a business like that gets sold, and build that business, build the processes, build all of the things that you do over the years. Doesn't matter if you're in it for 2 years or 22 years, you can continue to build that to the end that you want to see out of it. And so that's where it's been a lot of fun in being able to put those pieces together. A lot of time, one of the biggest pieces that I find is that there is a very strong emotional attachment to the business. Business owners that have been at it, that are 60 years old, typically they've been at it a long time. And they really feel that their employees are like family. They feel an attachment to that business, and being able to let go and being able to say, hey, someone else could run this, the way I do, is sometimes a very tough situation for business owners. So helping them kind of figure out what those pieces and parts are that are going to be a kind of a sticking point is critical. And we've got some tremendous experts that have come onto the site that give a whole range from accountants to lawyers to psychologists to financial people, all the pieces and parts that need to come together. So it doesn't really matter where that business owner is at in that thought process. They can really plug in and kind of go from there and really get some good advice. So
Yeah, I love that. Start with the end in mind. You know, that's it's simple and it's classic, but not everybody, well, most of us, let's be honest, aren't following that, right? We're just, again, worried about today. So is that something, you know, if somebody's watching this and they said, you know what, I just started my business. I'm a couple months in, like you guys are with your business. I don't have time to focus on the end, right? What do you say to that? Because we know sitting here talking that that's still important, right? Or is it ever too early to start planning? You know, what are your thoughts on that for those new business owners out there, or maybe the business owners that have only got a couple years in?
You want me to take that, Jill, or you want to go?
Sure.
I think that it's never too early. And I think that a lot of times businesses are started by people that are great technicians. They're good at doing a specific thing. They start a business doing that. And a lot of times it's a real learning curve to learn the management of a business, especially as they start to accumulate employees. They start to, deal with bigger problems. They start to kind of branch out. And there's a lot of decisions that come, or a lot of opportunities that come with a little bit of success, where you can easily get pulled into a different direction from what you initially started. And I think if you can be diligent in pulling yourself out, even on a weekly basis, maybe an hour a week, pull yourself away, sit down and turn all the phones off, turn all the noise off, and just think about your business and where you want it to go. I think you'll find that you will have results much faster and much greater than what you will if you don't. So I don't think there's ever really a time, not necessarily, hey, I'm exiting tomorrow, but just thinking, hey, how should this look, and what kind of a company do I want to build? I think anytime you spend working on the business instead of in the business is certainly beneficial.
Right. You've got to have that vision initially to know where you want to go, and whether that's, you got to be ready when opportunity knocks. That's what I'm hearing from you, right? Because it could be in 2 months, it could be in 2 years, it could be in 20 years. Who knows? But if you're not ready, then you're really costing yourself money in the long term and value in your own business. Maybe take us to the start.
And many times when opportunity knocks, it may not be the right opportunity.
True.
And so if you have a clear vision, it's easy to say, hey, this doesn't really line up with what my original vision is, and I don't want to get distracted from where I really want to go. That focus is critical.
That's a great point, Brad. Yes, absolutely. Because especially as entrepreneurs, different things come our way all the time. And so having that vision to differentiate, yes, this is a good opportunity versus no, that's not, is critical there. Jill, maybe take us back to your startup here. Have you guys, and Brad, you can chime in here too, but in your own startup here, so you both are successful businesses elsewhere. Did this go smooth, or, has there been any challenges as you guys started this, especially during COVID, for business owners out there that are looking to start, or maybe they're like, these guys are the experts. Is it still all, is it unicorns and rainbows, or do you still have challenges as you go, even with the experience you guys have?
Yeah, no, I mean, there's always challenges. Don't get us wrong. It's been great fun, but we're still, we've been quite successful in regards to the marketing component, but we're always tweaking our website and the marketing based on some of the analysis and understanding, how many clicks, who opened, how many people engaged, how, what's the average amount of time they spend on the website, how many people are on the website. So, understanding the analytics component and looking at that, measuring that, we measure it weekly and have discussions, and then, slowly, steer our ship in different directions based on the results. So yeah, it's fun, but it's always challenging.
Yeah. And I think it's humbling, because you really have to be humble enough to say, hey, the thing that I thought was going to be a home run is not working. We need to change course a little bit. We need to change, something that we thought, I know Jill and I have been several times, it's like, oh my goodness, it just couldn't get any better than this. And then as we test, Jill is so great at testing everything. When the clicks aren't there and the people aren't spending the time, that you're not on the right track. And so you have to swallow your pride and say, okay, maybe we're not as smart as we thought we were. And so now we're going to, move a little bit different direction. So it's been good. And one thing I'll add, one thing that surprised me is the experts. It's been a lot of, we felt that the experts would really come on and would be very proactive in getting content and all that stuff. But it's been kind of a hand-holding thing, something we didn't really expect, of being able to say, hey, we need to get this by this date, and just continue to follow up and follow through just to make sure that they have great results as well. So
Always different
Lots of
challenges
challenges.
than you expect, it sounds like, right? Because that's small
Sure.
business. That's the fun part. As Jill mentioned, that's why we get into it as entrepreneurs, is to experience that. And the continual testing and tweaking and understanding of your environment is key to go forward, it sounds like. You know, in speaking of what you guys do, there's a lot of different avenues out there as far as, okay, business brokers have really popped up a lot over the last few years. You mentioned CPAs earlier as far as providing some of this. You guys are kind of in a different niche there, where you're pulling in some of these tools and resources into one area. So, maybe tell us about that. Has that been challenging, marketing that, almost a new kind of product out there, or getting yourself, it's like introducing a new section in the grocery store, right? So has that been a challenge, or has the market understood exactly what you guys do from the get-go?
I feel that we've been really fortunate on that front. So we have an auction firm, we have an M&A, we have a couple M&A firms, we definitely have brokers on the site, right? So so that piece I feel like has been a little bit easier, getting experts on, and then having the diversity of the experts to come on. Brad, what am I missing?
You know what? And Jill is a master at marketing. So she really, has kind of honed in on the target. And so she does a great job of kind of highlighting those experts and what they do. And I think it takes the piece that's really valuable for the business owners is that they have heard of a business broker, but most of them have never used one. They've heard of an M&A firm, but they've never used one. They've heard of, there's lots of different things out there. And so the content that's on the site gives them the ability to go on there at their own pace and just kind of look and see how does it actually work? What are the steps that are involved? What are the expectations of what's going to take from me? What are they going to do for me? And really being able to kind of hold a hand or guide, give a guiding path as someone is trying to figure out, what is the best path. Because a lot of times, it falls directly into exactly what Jill does. A business owner realizes that the business is not worth maybe as much as they had hoped. And so now they're going to need to grow that business. And so now they can get help in, what do I do to hone in on those processes? What do I do to go get new clients to get myself in a position where I can exit at the level that I want?
Nice. Yeah, that's what you got to do. Again, it's just reinventing yourself as you go, and having that vision to where you want to be overall. But that's good news that it sounds like you guys are bringing in the resources. Maybe people are familiar with different pieces, but they've never actually used them. So in regards, your business is the Exit Playbook. So there's multiple pieces there, and you've mentioned a few throughout our time together. In general, what are you seeing out there? What's the biggest missing piece? What's the biggest part of that playbook that most businesses are not utilizing right off the bat till, throughout their lifelines or livelihood? What do you guys see as the missing piece for most businesses out there that they need to put in order to get ready for an exit?
So I think just getting started. I mean, we have interviewed over 100 business owners. And Ernie Goss, through his survey from Creighton University, where they interview bank owners, they asked the question, what percentage of your, customers, of the bank owners even have an exit plan? It was like 16%.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's a very low number. So for us, it's just getting started. It's really understanding the value of your business and then really understanding how you want to do the exit.
Yeah, I would agree totally. That getting started, take the first step and begin the process, because as you start to learn, you really do pick up some synergy, and it helps you think clearly about your business in different ways than you're thinking in a day-to-day operational thing mode. And so I think you find that you will run your business better, and you'll be better prepared if you'll just take a step and get started.
So what's, on that same note, kind of diving deeper, you said 16% earlier, Jill, what's holding back the remaining, 84%? Like, what is it? Just fear? Is it that confidentiality thing you mentioned earlier? Is it, well, if I start this process, then I'm going to have to sell, which obviously we know isn't the case, right? It's all a choice. But what do you think is the biggest thing holding people back from getting that? I mean, that's really valuable information, is to know what your business is worth today, what you want it to be later, right? That's huge. So what would stop somebody from doing that?
I think it's fear, Brad. Most of the people that Verity Martin works with, they're identifying what number that they want to exit at. So the people I'm working with are a little bit more proactive than we think businesses as a whole. But Brad works a lot more with that population. But we both, well, I think it's fear. But Brad?
Yeah, and I would agree with that. And one of the hard parts for a business owner is that they are expected on a daily basis to have all the answers. And quite honestly, they don't have the answers, and most of them have never exited a business. They've never sold a business, and so it's a new territory. And so there is a fear in stepping into that. That's one of the reasons. One of the great exercises on Exit Playbook when you first go on there is how to value my business on the back of an envelope. So it gives them a quick snapshot. Not a super in-depth valuation, but it gives them a ballpark idea to start with and say, wow, this surprises me of where it's at. Either it's higher than I thought, it's lower than I thought, but at least now they have a kind of a start of a plan of action. So
nice. Yeah, that's huge. Like you said, just get started. You got to overcome that fear, because that's really information. If you don't have that destination figured out, where are you going to go, right? You could wind up anywhere and might not be where you want. So
there you go.
From a startup perspective, so back to your startup story, you guys are a couple months in. You said you started in August, I believe, of this year. We're recording this in October. So, what's the future hold? What has gone well and different? Maybe you've pivoted already a little bit inside your business, but what's the future hold after a few months of business so far for the Exit Playbook versus maybe what you originally had planned?
Yeah, so we've started, our original plan was to really concentrate on Nebraska. So we added 20 experts from Nebraska, and we're just starting to add experts from Iowa to the site. And we market weekly to a little over 7,000 business owners right now. And that list we anticipate growing every week. And and then just, measuring and tweaking. So, we're still tweaking.
Yeah. And I think the COVID has had an effect on it. I think a lot of business owners have really had to take a step back, and they certainly were caught blindsided. Nobody really knew what to expect, and so they've had a lot of challenges in their business. And so I think it moves that, thinking about exiting kind of to a back burner almost. And so that's been a challenge in, getting them to think, hey, even though it's in the midst of a COVID or a pandemic, it still is a good time to at least start the process, take a look, because, unfortunately, a lot of business owners are, they throw their hands up and say, well, I'm done now. And a little bit of planning could really make a huge difference in that.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly right. That's a great point. Now, if our listeners and viewers want to know more about the Exit Playbook, what's the best way to reach out to you guys and learn more about what your products and services offer?
ExitPlaybook.com.
Yeah, go to the website. You can reach us. You can reach, any of the experts. It's all very clearly spelled out there. So yeah, we'd love you to have people just go and try out the site, take a look, see what they find, and work from there.
Perfect. Jill, we'll start with you. Any parting words as we wrap up, regarding your business journey or to those business owners that might be listening to this now?
Just get started. Just give it a try. The average, transaction for planning, et cetera, to execution is about 7 years for exiting your business. So if you start today, you'll be closer to the end. Great advice. How about you, Brad? Any parting words?
Get started. That's kind of the whole thing. I've been amazed at how long it took, from concept when Jill and I first sat down, how long it took to build the website, get everything going, but we wanted to have a great product. And so, I think that everybody has something to learn. Even if you're not planning on exiting in the next 3 years, I think you would find things on the site that would really be of benefit. So it's been a fun journey.
Wonderful. Yeah, we've heard the old phrase, best time to plant a tree was 25 years ago. The second best time was today, right? So get started today and be prepared. But I think, just to reemphasize what you guys do, even 1 year in, 1 month in, whatever it is, you have to put these things in place, right? It's so critical for a business to look ahead. And, we may be scrambling day in, day out, putting out fires as a business owner, but if you can plan ahead, you're going to be that much better off later. It's going to come eventually, right? Nothing is perpetual. So it's going to come eventually. You got to plan now if you're going to move ahead in your business, whether that's today or later. Just start now and put yourself in a place to succeed. So check it out. It is exitplaybook.com. So check out Jill and Brad, and they'll be happy to help there. So again, Jill, Brad, thanks for being on the show. Really appreciate your time and insight today.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Joe. We enjoyed it.
All right, Brad, Jill, thank you so much for sharing your startup story on our show. I know that was really valuable to everybody who listened. And again, we've got to start with the end in mind, right? Begin with the end in mind. That's age-old advice, and it is so true in a small business, especially. You want to start and plan out for your future at the beginning. So don't wait too long to do that. And it's fun to hear your guys' story as far as starting your business here in 2020, which is an interesting year for all, but you can still do it. You can still start successful businesses. They are proof of that in the middle of a worldwide pandemic. So pretty cool. If they can do it, you can do it, who's watching out there. And that's what the Ideal Startup Series is all about, is helping you start your business. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, click the link in the comments. There is a wait list for our Ideal Business Academy. That's where we bring you more things like this on a more advanced scale. So go ahead and click that link and get more information about the Ideal Business Academy, and we'll get you on the wait list there. Also, like and share this with others out there. This is an important message for anybody who is in the small business realm, whether you're just starting, or maybe you've been in business for a few years and need to start looking seriously at that exit. This episode is very important. So share this out there, like this, and let's help spread the word for small business. That's, again, what we do with this series is raise everybody up in our community when small business is successful. So I appreciate your time and you watching and listening to this episode. As always, let's go out and support local.